Imagine standing in the middle of life's storms, yet feeling completely unshaken. Imagine walking through challenges, criticism or failure, and instead of breaking down, you grow calmer, stronger, and more at peace. This is the unstoppable version of you, not a superhuman, not someone you need to become someday, but the truest self already within you, waiting to be uncovered. Most of us never meet this self because we spend our lives chasing strength in achievements, possessions, or recognition. But real strength cannot be found in things that change. Real strength is born from the stillness of your mind, the clarity of your heart, and the presence you bring into this very moment. In this video, you will discover 6 timeless teachings rooted in Buddhist wisdom and mindfulness that show you how to uncover that unstoppable self. If you feel called to this path, subscribe to Mindfulness and let's walk it together. 1. The power of stillness, meeting the mind without fear. We often believe that being unstoppable means constant action, always moving, always doing, but real power begins in stillness. The quiet mind sees further than the restless one. Imagine a lake. When the water is turbulent, you cannot see beneath it. But when the water settles, clarity arises. A young monk once asked his teacher, "How do I find wisdom?" The teacher poured water into a glass filled with sand and stirred it. "If you want to see clearly," he said, "you must wait for the sand to settle." Stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness waiting to reveal itself. When you pause, breathe, and let the mind rest, you tap into an energy that is steady, not scattered. This is the beginning of being unstoppable, not through force, but through balance. Practice pausing during your day. Sit quietly for a few moments, even amid chaos. Let thoughts come and go without chasing them. Over time, you will notice something remarkable. Your inner storms begin to calm and decisions become clearer. Being unstoppable doesn't mean fighting harder. It means seeing clearly enough that you no longer need to fight at all. 2. Awareness of impermanence, flowing instead of resisting. The unstoppable self is not rigid. It is fluid, like water. Why? Because life is change itself. Everything shifts, seasons, relationships, emotions, even the cells of your body. Yet most of our suffering comes from resisting what is naturally impermanent. There is a story of a man who tried to clutch a handful of river water. The harder he gripped, the more quickly it slipped through his fingers. But when he opened his hand, the water rested gently on his palm. This is the way of life. Grasping causes pain. Openness brings peace. When you accept impermanence, obstacles lose their power. A failure is no longer the end, it becomes a transition. A loss is not eternal, it becomes a teacher. By flowing with change, you step into resilience, the quiet strength that cannot be broken. In your daily life, notice small changes, the rising and falling of your breath, the shifting light of morning into night. These reminders train the mind to release its grip. Over time, acceptance becomes natural, and what once felt heavy grows light. The unstoppable version of you is not the one who resists change, but the one who flows with it. 3. The middle path, balance as true strength. When we imagine strength, we often think of power, endurance, and the ability to keep pushing no matter what. Yet, the deepest form of strength is not about pushing harder, but about living in balance. This balance is the middle path, a principle taught by the Buddha as a way to live with harmony, neither trapped in excess nor lost in deficiency. There is a well-known story from the Buddha's life. Before enlightenment, he practiced extreme self-denial, fasting until his body was frail and weak. At another time, he had also experienced the indulgence of royal luxury. But he found that neither extreme led to awakening. Then, one day, he overheard a musician tuning a lute. The student tightened the string too much, and it snapped. When loosened too much, it produced no sound. Only when it was tuned with balance did the lute create music. The Buddha realized that life is the same. When lived too tightly, it breaks us. When lived too loosely, it leaves us empty. Balance is the key. This lesson applies to every part of our modern lives. Many of us live with strings pulled too tight, endless deadlines, constant striving, perpetual comparison. We work until exhaustion, believing that productivity equals worth. Others live with strings too loose, avoiding responsibility, escaping into distraction, or numbing themselves from life's demands. Neither path creates harmony. The unstoppable version of you does not come from either extreme. It arises when you live in balance. Balance does not mean mediocrity. It means moving with wisdom. It means knowing when to act and when to rest, when to speak and when to listen, when to hold on and when to let go. Imagine a fire, too little fuel and it fades, too much fuel and it becomes destructive. But with balance, it provides warmth, light and energy. Your inner fire works in the same way. Ask yourself, where in your life are you stretched too tightly? Perhaps you demand perfection of yourself in work or relationships, never allowing mistakes. Or perhaps you carry responsibilities without pausing to care for your body and mind. Now ask, where are you too loose? Maybe you avoid necessary challenges, delay important decisions, or retreat into habits that numb rather than nourish. Both extremes sap your strength. The practice of mindfulness offers a way to notice these imbalances. Begin simply. When you feel overwhelmed, pause and breathe. 3 deep breaths can bring you back into awareness. When you feel stagnant or unmotivated, also pause and breathe and ask, what small action can I take right now? In both cases, balance guides you, not force. Another practice is reflecting daily on 3 areas: body, mind, and heart. Ask, did I honor my body with movement and rest? Did I give my mind both focus and spaciousness? Did I nurture my heart with compassion for myself and others? These small reflections keep the strings of your life tuned gently, never too tight, never too loose. The unstoppable self is not rigid like stone. It is flexible like bamboo, strong yet able to bend with the winds of change. Balance creates resilience. When difficulties come, you neither shatter nor collapse. You adapt, you flow, and you continue. The middle path is not a theory to admire. It is a way to live daily. Through balance, you preserve your energy, protect your peace, and discover a strength that endures beyond circumstance. This is the strength of the unstoppable you, steady, calm, and deeply alive. 4. Transforming suffering into strength. Every person, no matter how peaceful their life may appear on the surface, carries some measure of suffering. It may come from loss, disappointment, failure, or the quiet dissatisfaction of feeling incomplete. Most people run from suffering, seeking distractions or quick fixes, but the unstoppable version of you does not avoid suffering. It learns to transform it into wisdom, compassion, and resilience. The Buddha taught, "Pain is certain, suffering is optional." This means pain is part of life. Our bodies age, circumstances change, people we love may leave us, and plans may fail. But suffering, the inner struggle, the stories we tell ourselves, is not inevitable. When we resist pain, it multiplies. When we embrace it with awareness, it becomes a teacher. There is a story about a farmer who lost his only horse. The villagers said, "What misfortune!" But the farmer replied, "Maybe." A few days later, the horse returned with several wild horses. "What luck!" the villagers exclaimed. Again, the farmer said, "Maybe." Soon after, his son fell from one of the wild horses and broke his leg. The neighbors cried, "Such misfortune!" The farmer calmly answered, "Maybe." Later, soldiers came to recruit young men for war, but left the farmer's injured son behind. What seemed like suffering turned to safety. Life is like this. Events themselves are not fixed as good or bad. It is our reaction, our resistance, and our attachment that turn them into suffering. By softening our response, we find strength. How can you practice transforming suffering? First, allow yourself to feel. Instead of pushing away pain, pause and observe it. Notice where it sits in your body. Is it a tightness in your chest, a heaviness in your stomach? When you acknowledge pain with compassion, it begins to shift. Second, change the question you ask yourself. Instead of, "Why me?" ask, "What is this teaching me?" In every loss, there may be a lesson in gratitude. In every failure, a chance to grow humility or resilience. Suffering can polish the mind and open the heart if you meet it without fear. Third, remember that you are not alone in pain. Every human being has experienced disappointment, loss, or fear. When you recognize this, your heart naturally expands with compassion. You begin to see your own struggle not as a punishment, but as a bridge of connection to others. This is where unstoppable strength arises, not from ignoring suffering, but from letting it deepen your empathy and wisdom. Think of a lotus flower. It grows only in muddy waters, yet it rises above the mud, untouched and pure. Your suffering is the mud, but it is also the soil that allows your inner lotus to bloom. Without challenge, there can be no true awakening. The unstoppable version of you is not the one who avoids pain, but the one who walks through it with awareness. Each time you transform suffering into wisdom, you grow stronger in a way that cannot be taken from you. Obstacles become fuel, wounds become openings, and difficulties become the very path to awakening. In this way, suffering is no longer your enemy. It becomes your greatest ally on the journey to freedom. 5. The power of compassion, expanding beyond the self. If balance and wisdom keep us steady, compassion is what makes us truly unstoppable. Compassion is not weakness, it is not pity. Compassion is the strength to open your heart, to see yourself in others, and to act with kindness even when it is difficult. The Buddha often reminded his students that the mind filled with compassion is limitless. Just as a candle can light thousands of others without losing its flame, compassion multiplies energy rather than depleting it. This is why compassion is one of the greatest sources of inner strength. There is an ancient story of a bodhisattva who came across a starving tigress, too weak to feed her cubs. Seeing her suffering, he felt her pain as if it were his own. The tigress and her cubs were on the brink of death, and in his boundless compassion, he offered his own body to sustain them. The story is not about literal sacrifice, but about the depth of compassion, the willingness to see the suffering of others as inseparable from our own. Such compassion expands the heart beyond self-interest, revealing a strength that cannot be shaken. Compassion transforms suffering by shifting the focus from me to we. When you carry only your own burden, it feels heavy. But when you recognize that others share the same struggles, the load becomes lighter. You begin to see that your own wounds can open you to understanding and healing others. How can you cultivate compassion in daily life? Start small. When you see someone struggling, pause before judgment and silently wish them peace. When someone frustrates you, remind yourself, this person also desires happiness, just as I do. These simple shifts rewire the mind from harshness to softness. Another practice is loving kindness meditation. Sit quietly and repeat phrases such as, "May I be safe," "May I be peaceful," "May I be free from suffering." Then extend the same wishes to others, loved ones, strangers, even those you find difficult. Over time, the heart expands beyond its usual boundaries, creating a field of warmth that supports you and everyone around you. Compassion also extends inward. Many of us are kind to others, but harsh to ourselves. We criticize, judge, and replay mistakes. True compassion begins with self-compassion, the willingness to forgive ourselves, to speak to ourselves as we would to a dear friend. Without this, compassion for others becomes hollow. The unstoppable version of you does not armor the heart against the world. Instead, it keeps the heart open. This openness creates a quiet invincibility because nothing can truly harden or embitter you. Even in the face of cruelty or injustice, compassion keeps you from being consumed by anger or despair. Think of a tree in the storm. Its branches may sway and bend, but its roots hold firm. Compassion is those roots. It grounds you so deeply that no storm can uproot your peace. When you act with compassion, you not only transform your own life, you ripple outward. Your words, your presence, your small acts of kindness become seeds planted in the lives of others, and those seeds may grow into forests of healing you will never see. This is the power of compassion, soft yet unshakable, tender yet unstoppable. It is not about saving the world by force, but about opening the heart so fully that the world feels less divided, less harsh, less hopeless. The unstoppable you is not just strong in body or mind, it is vast in heart, and this vastness is where true freedom begins. 6. Living in presence, becoming one with the moment. The final key to unlocking the unstoppable version of you is presence. Presence is not simply paying attention, it is being fully alive in this very moment, without being pulled by the past or the future. Most of our restlessness comes from leaving the present. We replay old mistakes, relive losses, or cling to moments that no longer exist. At the same time, we lean anxiously toward the future, worrying about what might happen or chasing what we think will finally make us complete. But the only place life truly happens is here and now. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past, do not dream of the future, concentrate the mind on the present moment." These words hold a profound secret. The present is the only place where transformation is possible. There is a story of two monks walking by a river. They saw a woman struggling to cross. One monk lifted her onto his back, carried her across, and set her down. Hours later, the other monk said, "Why did you carry her? We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk replied, "I set her down by the river hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Presence means setting down what no longer serves us. We carry so many invisible burdens, resentment, guilt, worry, that prevent us from being fully alive. When we learn to release them, we step into a freedom that feels unstoppable. How can you live more in presence? Start with awareness of the body. The body is always here, always now. Notice your breath, the rising and falling of your chest. Notice the ground beneath your feet. This anchors you in the present moment, like roots grounding a tree. Another practice is mindful attention to ordinary actions. When you drink tea, just drink tea. Notice the warmth, the taste, the texture. When you walk, just walk. Feel the rhythm of your steps. These small practices strengthen the mind's ability to stay here, instead of scattering into what has been or what might be. Presence also means listening deeply. Often we listen not to understand, but to reply. True presence is giving someone your full attention, without judgment, without interruption. When you listen this way, you give a gift more powerful than advice. You give the gift of being seen. Living in presence doesn't mean ignoring the future or denying the past. It means not being imprisoned by them. You can learn from yesterday and plan for tomorrow, but your life is lived only today. When you truly understand this, each moment becomes precious. Even washing dishes or folding clothes becomes sacred when done with awareness. The unstoppable version of you is not found in some distant achievement. It is found in this very breath, this very step, this very word. When you live in presence, nothing can shake you, because you are no longer chasing what is beyond your reach. You are fully alive in what already is. Presence reveals the simplicity of life. That joy is not hidden in tomorrow. That peace is not waiting at the end of some struggle. That love is not locked in the past. It is all here, if only we awaken to it. And when you awaken to the present, you become unstoppable. Not by holding on, not by running ahead, but by being so deeply rooted in the now that nothing can pull you away from life itself. You now hold 6 timeless keys: stillness, acceptance of impermanence, balance, the transformation of suffering, compassion, and presence. Together, they unlock the unstoppable version of you, not by turning you into someone else, but by revealing the depth of who you already are. Remember, the journey is not about rushing, it is about walking steadily, gently, with awareness. Each step, each breath can be a doorway to freedom. If this path speaks to your heart, I invite you to subscribe to Mindfulness. Let us continue walking together into deeper awareness, peace, and the unstoppable truth of your being.